All right. Another one down. What an epic session. Welcome everyone that's joining us live right now. We've just wrapped up yet another epic Mindful Men's Club meeting on some pretty awesome subjects. Great space for everyone to open up as well. So as some of you guys are tuning in live, hello, great to see you again. And yeah, today's theme is reflections and realizations, where we're just having a bit of a catch up on some of the things that we've learned, some of the things that we've put into play, and just a general open session for the lads to bring whatever it is that they're working on and reflect and see what comes of that as well. So whilst we're waiting for a few more people to come online, Manoj, over to you. How is today?
Yeah, thank you. And definitely a warm welcome to all the men and women listening in live. If you're watching on a replay, just remember to hashtag replay in the comments, so then we can actually pick up your comments and answer any questions you've got. And welcome. I mean, another blessed session. Every session is really blessed, right, Viraj? I think what we tend to do, just to explain to everyone who doesn't know the format, is that we have a new topic every single sort of session in terms of every 2 weeks, and then every 3 topics we inject what we call reflections and realizations. And it's because just to reflect on the past 3 topics, or just about what you want to reflect on in the moment in your life, and it just kind of hones us in as well, doesn't it, Viraj, when we do that? Because otherwise you can just go from topic to topic from topic and then not really sort of learn or absorb it really in a good way. So I think today was really, really powerful. It started off like very, very serious in the beginning, and none of these talks are scripted, so it started off really, really deep, with a bunch of lads who joined. So thank you for that massive shout out. And then towards the end, it was just lads being lads, right, is the best way to describe it. And it's nice to kind of forget about your worries and your stresses, and just to have a bit of a laugh and joke, and to keep it real as well. And the laugh and joke wasn't at each other's expense. It was, we were all laughing together. So that was quite cool, right? I think just to go into the actual topic, I think the big thing that came out in reflections and realizations is that quite early on there was basically one of the men was talking about fear of loss of his job, basically, in terms of what if he loses the potential only source of his income. And I think for anybody who's ever been in that situation, I certainly have, that itself is quite daunting experience, especially if you've got a family. The other guy on the actual group was, I guess, processing and contemplating, thinking about launching his business, and I guess it was more about not needing any validation from anyone. And the prior example about the person who had a fear of losing his job, it's like, well, what are some of the corrective measures and actions that you can put in place to mitigate that, right? And we thought, I can't see the chat. I'm not sure if you can find the link that I shared with the YouTube talk. Is really, really powerful. And one of the things, and I just watched it just 2-3 days ago, and one of the things that I learned from that was you can have 5 people in a room with the same vision, 4 people taking no absolutely action, and then 1 person actually taking action that is broken down in a series of sequence of micro actions, right? So it's basically, what's your sequence? And I use the analogy of a chessboard, meaning you want to get to whatever your version of checkmate is, right? And your opponent in this case could be whatever barrier you're trying to overcome, or challenge that you're trying to overcome, or vision that you're trying to realize. So that's the chess analogy, right? Not that I'm an avid chess player. I'm not sure where I'm going now with this. I do love chess though, just purely because of the strategy. So hear me out. It will make sense in a minute. And then the idea is that, like in chess, the chess is a series of moves, and each piece plays a different pivotal move on your chessboard. And in this metaphor, your life is the chessboard, right? So if you want to achieve something, what is the actual action that you're going to take? So whether that's, you've got a vision board, and everyone knows about and talks about vision boards, and half of them are filled and half of them not filled, but from your vision board, what is the sequence of moves right now? If you were to meditate on something you want to achieve, whether it's finding a life partner, improving the relationship you have with your life partner, launching a business, scaling a business, leaving a job, finding a job, closing a relationship with a close friend, creating a new, whatever it is, right? What is the sequence of events and moves that you're going to take. So, for example, I don't know, throw something at me, Viraj. Let's do this live. I don't know. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, definitely. Before we do that, I think just to add another viewpoint to this is the one thing we added was often we get so caught up in a goal and we focus on the gap, but actually what we're saying is actually what's the process, what closes the gap, because knowing that that's there in the background is important. It's good to have, but at the same time, often we get so fixated on a goal and we're educated because in a way that there's one set way to achieve a grade, a result. And when it's on us, we often, this is where this indecision creeps in of, well, I don't know what to do. Whereas success and failure leaves clues. So it's actually looking at it from that perspective of, okay, what is the sequence of events that I can take? What's the thing that just moves the needle just a little bit more, which now gives you a new perspective, a new action, a new act to build on top of. And in doing that, that's how you position the pieces of a checkboard, because you're not trying to get to checkmate straight away, but it's what are the pieces that you're trying to position first, and then you're in a position to execute and go on that. So
Yeah.
for example, let me think of one live.
While you're thinking of it, 100%, just to add to what you shared as well in the previous chat, is that, and just to sort of extrapolate a little bit further on that, is that quite often we look at the macro, and the macro is your North Star. So your macro is where do you want to get to, the hill, right? Well, what hill do you want to overcome?
Know your hill and then take the hill.
Exactly. So know your hill, know which hill to climb, because not every hill is for you. And then know your hill, and then conquer the hill, right? So there's a famous, maybe you can share that talk as well.
It was mentioned in Matthew McConaughey's convention speech at Houston University, where his 11 rules of success, and one of them is like, in a nutshell, sometimes we try to know the hill that you want to die on versus trying to just put yourself everywhere. So know your hill and then go take that hill.
Definitely a deep share. Maybe I'm not sure if you've seen it because I can't see the chat, but definitely share both of those, Raj, when you get a minute from YouTube. So yeah, so just any example, like just any example.
Yeah. Let's talk about health.
Okay, cool. So let's say if I was super unhealthy, I'm just using myself as an example. Let's say I'm super unhealthy, and I know I want to get healthy. What literally and what is it that I can kind of do to get healthy? And I think somebody asked me this actually, so it's quite synchronous actually. One of the CEOs I was talking to last week asked me this, Manoj, I want to get healthy. What are the steps I can take it? And I said, but why do you want to get healthy? And he looked at me thinking, what do you mean why? Because isn't it pretty obvious? Because it's good for me, right? Longevity. I'm like, I don't know that. I don't know what your internalization is, your narrative. So I said, the first thing is figure out your why, right? Figure out your why, how bad you want it. And then second thing is, what is the sequence of events you're going to do? And the sequence of events in his case is really, really simple, right? And I said to him, if you want to get healthy, the last thing you do is go to the gym. And then he looked at me even weirder, thinking, what do you mean? I'm like, get your mindset right first. That's the first thing, right? Find your why. Second thing is lock your nutrition down, right? Breaking it down in stages. Then the third thing is introduce your form of exercise, right? And it's nothing simple, nothing profound what I'm talking about. It's just simple stages. But what we're describing is break down your macro and into more digestible, consumable actions that are much more achievable than setting yourself up to do these big things, and then they just become overwhelming, right?
You just add to this example, because you part of that is sequencing steps. It's knowing your why is important, right? And then it's also recognizing what is in your sphere of knowledge and whose expertise can you leverage. So let's say in the example of health, do you need to connect with a nutritionist to understand what you should or shouldn't be eating based on the type of situation you're in right now in order to improve your health? Do you need to get a PT versus just going to the gym and spending 2 hours and actually not being effective? Time versus energy. How much time do you have? What output do you want to see? So, but what's happening along the way is that clarity is being built, specificity is being built versus I'm here, I want to get healthy, and then there's everything in the middle. Whereas, okay, where's your nutrition? Where's your health? Where's your time? How much can you dedicate? Once that clarity is in place, and you almost by default go through a process of elimination, the path now becomes clearer, and actually the goal becomes closer because you can see by taking the first action. So let's say in this instance, getting a PT, great. So now there's fixed time, fixed place, PT, we're going to do some work, and there's accountability now in place to show up.
Definitely,
And then outside of
100%.
that, nutrition, what do you need to be eat? What do you need to know? How can you now set that up? So
And
you
clarity
can
is a strong
see
word.
already, right? The pieces being positioned.
Yeah. Yeah. And clarity, you mentioned clarity, right? And clarity is a really strong word. And you mentioned something before, it's about your perspective, your perceptive perception of your perspective, right? So your perception of your own perspective changes along the journey, because what you thought was impossible, unattainable, irreachable, is kind of like, oh, okay, so I'm actually doing this now. My food is on lockdown. My why is pretty sorted. It's not, and it doesn't matter if it's for vanity, right? I want a six pack or whatever, or it's for life longevity, whatever. It's your why, right? It's what's deeply personal for you, right? Or you want to spend time with your, kids or your grandkids or whatever it is, right? And then that's your kind of North Star. And then it's a case of, do I dedicate my time and energy to it? Is it that important, or do I not, right? And ultimately it just comes down to personal, remove yourself out of the way and remove the excuses, right? I think one of the guys was talking about doing something else. I can't remember what it was. And then we were just saying, well, life is not about having ifs, buts, or maybes, right? So fail fast, fail forward, right? A/B test, whatever you want to do very early on, very quickly. And you don't need validation from friends in that example.
Yeah. And I think this is the other side to it, is you can have like an overarching why. It's like purpose, right? You never have one big purpose. You have many purposes as a parent, an employee, a father, a husband, like all that kind of stuff. So when you look at a why, it's about, okay, what is it? What is my why for the short term, mid-term, and long term, so that you're not totally caught up in the stars, but it still feels very real in terms of that. And actually, Nims has just said something in the chat here as well. I think sometimes it's also about knowing your why for right now. So when you're experiencing a difficult time or emotion, it's about getting through that period whilst holding on to your why to keep you going in those moments when you procrastinate and when you want to be, when you want to not be as self-disciplined as you can be. Exactly that. So it's structuring it so that you can rely on a bigger inspiration and generate short-term motivation where you have to exert a little bit of willpower to get through into something, because otherwise it's just woo-woo.
Yeah, definitely, and thanks for that share, Nims. And it's like I mean, I'm sure you guys have all heard this, but it's like I've got it written on my board in the office, on the whiteboard. It's like a daily 1% incremental improvement. When I look back, is 365 days of improvement in my life. So that's you've just 365 times % improved what you were doing the year before. But if I said to you, you need to improve 365%, Raj, you'd be like, huh? Go figure. How am I gonna do that? Exactly. But if I said to you, just 1%, bring 1% extra to the table that you didn't bring yesterday or yesteryear, right? That's a different definition, right?
Yeah.
And then 6 months through that journey, you're 50% already completed your massive transformational improvement, whatever that is, right? So it's just about perspective, really. It literally is about perspective and making it not too daunting for you, and not and the other one of the other guys shared something as well, which I think is definitely a reminder for lads as well, especially as well as women, is that don't compare yourself. Who cares? In a nice way, if your friends are doing something, be happy for them, because if they're generally your friends, you should be smiling inside out. You shouldn't be
the
like,
best thing about that is, if you're happy for other people's successes, you invite your own.
yeah, 100%. Like you should be beaming with gratitude and smiling for other people when they share things and whatever they share, because if you're not, then you've answered yourself, how much depth do you have in the friendship anyway? And then how shallow is your perspective, keeping it real, right?
And also on the flip side, and this relates to something that came up in the chat, of that there's a fear of other people saying that your idea may not be viable, or may not work, or what happens if it doesn't. And look, it's valid, but it's also from their perspective. So it's seeking to understand, okay, where is this coming from? Are they an expert in the area that they can get some guidance from on how to do it? If they're not, and it's just an opinion, how competent is the opinion based on? And more often than not, when we share an opinion, it's based on our own perspective and our own journey. So it's just being able to recognize, okay, when someone is saying this, this is coming from their filter.
Yeah, I think we talked about this quite
Yeah.
in another talk. So just to go take that a little bit further, you're 100% spot on with that, bro. So it's like next time you try this out, guys. Next time you get an opinion, it could be from anybody, right? Friends and family. I've done it, right? The very first thing I say to myself is, what is that person's intention? Is it coming with love, or is it coming with hate? Is it coming with jealousy, or is it coming with love? Then I accept it, right? If it's becoming with, forget if it's right or wrong. If it's coming with love, I'll listen, if that makes sense, right? Just as me personally. Second thing is what, like you said, is, are they an authority through lived experience? Because that trumps anything in life. Have they gone through what you're about to share with them for advice? It's binary, yes or no, right? And then the third thing is, whatever they share with you is exactly what you just said. It's from their narrative and from their upbringing and their journey. So it might be right for them, and it also might be right for you, but it might not be right for you. And those three simple stages, if you go through that filtering process, I don't know, it's proved it's helped me save a lot of time and energy. I don't know about you, Viraj, but it's just a simple thing, nothing profound, but just, what is your intention?
Yeah.
Are they a lived authority and experience you're going through? And is the advice right for you? So you listen intently, but then you decide, right?
Yeah.
You take snippets away and whatever you want to take away. And ultimately, if it's the other flip side, the yin and yang, so if their intention is not pure and it's there for jealousy, then it falls in my category of, OPO, other people's opinion don't matter. Noise, right?
Yeah.
Filter out the noise. Who cares?
And I think this is the key thing as well, because you don't want to ruin relationships. You just want to acknowledge it just as it is and see, is there anything that can tangibly be taken from it? And if not, it's okay. Like,
but there's always, even if it's bad advice, there's something you can still take away from it. Yeah. There's always something golden, right? There's always something golden.
It's just looking, exactly that. It's literally looking at what is it that I can take from it, and not labeling it as good and bad, but also seeing if it's coming from
true.
competency or care. If it's coming from a place of care, cool, this person just cares. That's fine. They just have a concern. If it's coming from a place of competency, it's all right, cool. So let me leverage something. Let me get something from this conversation to see what can I take moving forward. Because if your conviction is right, and if it's clearly something that you want to do, then the intention is there. And as we said, the universe is there to back you up. It's always attracting us. Sometimes we block ourselves from that flow. So seeing what's in the way and allowing to go on that path.
Yeah, the universe always has your back. And I think the most beautiful, I mean, there's many beautiful things you can talk about in life, but one of the most beautiful things is that when you realize and you're awoken to that moment that the universe has got your back, and whatever vibrations you're putting out is whatever you receive, right? You just get an immense sense of clarity, just an immense sense of clarity. Isn't it quite profound that how many of us, including me, used to, not anymore, or there may be some people still doing this, and there's no right or wrong, and we're all human beings and creatures of social comfort, and we all seek validation. Isn't it bizarre that we procrastinate for so long, yet we have some of the answers and tool sets, but because we haven't had that validation, we don't take that first step forward. And then that first step forward becomes a thought, a dream that you had, and then next thing you know, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years has passed by because you're seeking validation from other people. Yet the only person you need to check yourself with is yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's just the mind blowing, right? The amount of things that you go through in life.
I can't remember exactly where I heard it. It might have been on a podcast or something this week. I can't remember which one. If I do, I'll say it. But it said something along the lines of like, you get the things that you're not ready for because the universe is preparing you to get ready for it. So in another way, if you're ready for everything you have, then you're in that comfort zone. So whenever you feel just that feeling of like, okay, here's something I want to do and I'm not quite sure, you're getting it because you're in the position to grow it and get that. So it's about that, the unreadiness that you identify. There's a step that gets you closer to being ready. And going back to what we were saying earlier, that's that 1% step. Like every single time, that's the gift that the universe keeps on giving, is that it's inviting you every single moment to grow that 1%. And if we were to look at it in another way, we are growing physically no matter what, from the time that we were born to where we are now. That's natural. So very similarly, our growth, whether that's sort of from a philosophical perspective, a mindful perspective, or a physical perspective, it's always going. And it's recognizing that what's been given to me right now is the step to take forward. And when I take the first step, I'm in a position to look at, okay, what does the next step look like? So to sort of bottom line that is, we are never ready, but that's the point.
That's the thing, right? One of the other things you just remind me of, there was so much to unpack, but is that every single person, man, woman, and child in their life will experience something called their flow state. And your flow state is when there's an abundance of inner joy, creativity, you're just smashing it, you know, you're just doing what you love, and you're just doing an amazing job at it. And it could be in a moment in your life, it could be a series of moments, it could be if you're blessed, it could be a job, it could be a business, it could be what you're doing for a living. And when you hone in on your flow state, because one of the guys was saying, I'm not sure what I want to do, and then it was quite amazing to hear that he does know what he wants to do, because he's describing his flow state, right? In that moment, he was describing his flow state, right? When he wrote that, I think the paper, or what it was, for 5-page AA-sided paper, and when he presented it, they were like dumbstruck, like, well, where did this come from, kind of thing, because he was in his flow state.
Yeah.
So everyone has that flow state. You just need to hone in on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, so much good stuff. So as we wrap up, we've got some exciting topics that are going to be coming up, which we're going to share and create those events in due course as well. And again, if there's
they're up. Most of them are up on Eventbrite.
We'll create the events as well, so you see them on Facebook and on our Instagram. And if you have any suggestions, we've had a few that were suggested in our last chat, which are going to be interesting. But that's the purpose of it. We'll go wherever the group wants to go, right? And it's about having those conversations that no one wants to have or shies away from, or a bit of a taboo. So watch that space.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Manoj, anything as we wrap up that we want to end on?
I think just to bring it back to the topic, which is reflections and realizations. So I think if you're not already doing so, just take a bit of a pause with whatever you're doing, and time is a luxury that you actually do have. People think they don't have time. They have an abundance of time. They're just using it in different ways, right? Let's just say that, right? Whatever that is. I just think take a pause and just have an introspection and think about whatever it is, right? So whether it's, are you in the right job? Are you in the right business? And it's not right. Are you in the right place is what I'm trying to say. So, and if you're not in the right place, then internalize and then focus on your sequence of moves, right? So what's your sequence of chess moves on the chessboard? That's going to take you one step closer. And we're not talking about profound stages or profound things. Just change your perspective and just shift your perspective. Take yourself out of your seat. And it's almost like, when you're in an event, and I share this, right? Sit at a different seat. When you sit at a different seat, you see life through a different lens, right? So it's just one of those things where I think we just don't do it enough. I know me and you do quite a lot of reflections and realizations, but I just think that's this one share that I would like to leave everyone with, that just, if you're not doing it already, internalize, reflect where you want to be, where you are. And it's not about comparing yourself to other people. It's just about knowing where you want to go and then making those positive steps to change your life trajectory, right? That's it, really.
Yep, exactly that. And just kind of going back to that chess analogy, is that, and kind of bringing it back to the hill, right? You're positioning your pieces to take the hill. Did you put that in the chat? Otherwise, people are like, "What are these guys talking about? Hill and." Yeah, I would. You'll add it after the live, yeah. Yeah. No worries. Right, well, I think we're good. I think I've got to do a few bits and pieces. I'm sure you have as well. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining, like always. Thank you for all the men who join every 2 weeks in our chat. Thank you for the men who actually join with their time and energy, not in the chat, and message us and private message us behind the scenes. And definitely thank you for all the ladies who keep sharing, liking the page. And then we get a lot of messages from men saying, my wife's told me I need to have a talk to you guys, or my girlfriend said, what do you guys do, and have a conversation. And we love that, because it's just a nice, gentle inroad of encouragement, right? Yeah.
And massive shout out to our sister groups, Reroute. So if you're a South Asian woman, 18 to 35, go check out Reroute. If you're basically 35 and plus, go check out Mental Wealth. So those are both our sister groups. And yeah, just have a blessed weekend, whatever you get up to.
Have a great one, guys. Catch you later.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.